Yes, we're live doing this. Hi, everyone. Let me know if you can hear me because I just, okay, hold on. Let me know if you can hear my sound. Say yes, I can hear you. Okay. Let's see here. Can you hear me, guys? Let me know, and then I'll get going. Okay, great. You can hear me. Yes. All right. I apologize. Like I said, I had to replace everything. So this is I had to get another computer, and I'm at a hotel, so the internet connection's not great. And I didn't realize I needed Google Chrome. So anyways, we can get going. I definitely want to answer your questions because it's been a while since we've chatted. So feel free to put your questions in the comment box. I can't tell you how excited I am to be here with you. There were definitely moments when I thought it would be a very, 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 very long time before I could be here with you, chatting with you guys. It's been, as you know, all around. I see so many people: Carol, Pulsar Fusion, Jenny, 45 from, hi everyone, Sheila, hi Peter. Actually, there's some people I really want to thank that really helped out with helping me get new camera gear. And Peter Trappin, thank you so much. Hi Ralph. I really, really appreciate it. Jeff Armstrong, thank you. And there's so many people. Stu, thank you so much. Kaja, Laura, Peter, Vokarek, thank you guys. It really means a lot. I'm going to be putting this camera gear and the sound together. It's going to take a few weeks. And hi. It's so good to see everyone. So first of all, so grateful for you and this community. I can't tell you how this made the biggest difference when we were detained in Belarus in the beautiful winter. And to know that you guys were there, it really, really made a huge difference. And first, oh, cool. Hi, thanks. Good to have you. And where do I start? Well, I know a lot of you guys don't have a lot of details, so I'm just going to share with you a little bit of what happened. And I also will be creating a video series about Belarus because I know that's not what this channel is really about, but it is important because of what's happening. And I think what's happening there right now is a perfect example of really seeing firsthand, of being a witness to the energy shifts in the whole of the planet. Because the people there, the people of Belarus, they're really putting everything on the line to basically topple over their 3D system, which is insanely aggressive. I mean, I don't know if you've read anything about Belarus, but people are literally being put to jail by simply even just wearing the colors of their old flag, which are white and red. I mean, or having them displayed in their windows. All the peaceful protesters, I mean, thousands of them were brutally beaten and hurt in just awful ways. And so many people were forced to leave the country. And those who didn't leave have been jailed. I mean, just the basically what's called the opposition, the people who are basically working to live free, to be able to express themselves freely. And this includes a lot of artists, a lot of creative people are behind bars because they're some of the more people that put themselves out there. It's really incredible. And here, I want to make sure. Uh-oh. Are we on right now? Oh, what's happening? Okay. So, sorry, the internet is going in and out. So when I went to Belarus, I sort of had a very open mind, like I always do. And I know a lot of people are like, why would you even go there? And yes, the light has overcome the threshold, and it's only a matter of time. I feel this in my own country. What country are you in 45 from? Yes, absolutely. I mean, it's really, really incredible to see the how. Oh, U.S. Absolutely. I mean, what's really amazing is that, in Belarus, they had all these peaceful protesters, and just by them standing up and saying peacefully, they were met with a lot of aggression. And, one thing we know here, being in the U.S., a lot of people took out to the streets, and not even peacefully so, but it was definitely a testament to that spirit, the warrior spirit. And that's very necessary as we shift, even in our lives. If you want to make a powerful change in your life, it's really, really important to awaken that warrior spirit. Okay, that is so, so key. And I feel the energy is changing in Australia also, is what Carol's saying. Yeah, absolutely. I think this time the shadow is so loud right now, and censorship is crazy. Absolutely. I mean, yeah, absolutely, censorship everywhere. That you're in Israel, and I mean, we know in US that's it's happening as well. And what's happening is people are waking up, and they're claiming more of the light and more of that empowerment, not the kind of power that's exercised to control people, but the real inner empowerment. The contrasting forces, they get stronger and stronger and stronger. And that's what was so interesting to witness in Belarus. And when I was there, basically what happened is that when we arrived there, from the moment we arrived at the airport, they assumed that, well, first of all, from the moment they check our passports, they basically targeted us. Like, they checked our passports inside out, the binding in them, and then they had several people come in, and then they put us aside with guards, and we had to wait there for a while. We felt trapped. Freedom will ring again. Absolutely. And so what happened is they basically, from the beginning, I guess, and this is something that we learned later, is they had suspected that we were working for some kind of humanitarian organization, or we were some sort of journalistic spies, and we were there to report on what was happening. And this is very interesting because when you are claiming more freedom, even when you are doing internally and you're shifting internally, a lot of that paranoia goes up. And that's what was so dominant over there, is that, as they're trying to hold on to this old matrix of intimidation and fear and violence, the paranoia went up, and any kind of energy that went in. And, we went in super open, super willing to learn about people and the culture of Belarus, which I have to say, the people of Belarus were amazing. Minsk is a beautiful city, but the system that the people are in is just so incredibly toxic. And so, did you know that when you're targeted, it shows your value? Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And so they basically were freaked out about this. And then by the time we went to customs, everything that we had was picked apart. We had brought supplements and vitamins. My partner David is creating his own line of supplements, so we had our own natural supplements, and they freaked out about all this stuff. All right. And we didn't understand when they'd freaked out about vitamins and stuff. And then this was the kicker, and this is what, again, we were told after by official people and attorneys and stuff, is that once they saw the camera gear is what they were freaked out about, again, because they thought we were going to use this camera gear to show what they were doing. And we had really no idea what was really happening, because when you look at the news, they don't talk so much about what's been happening there, especially the last few months. So basically, they thought we were spies, but because they couldn't charge us with having camera gear, they wanted to charge us with something else. No, we actually weren't moving there. We were traveling. It was one of our stops. Did we have legal support? Yes. So what happened is we were detained for all of the night. We arrived there Sunday night, so all night long until the early morning in the hours. And what happened is, there you don't have any human rights. So the moment they opened our suitcases, they grabbed our phones, they searched our computers and our phones, they took photos of our phone's information, the IMEI number, and basically our phones and computers were tapped into. This was very strange for me. I've never experienced anybody tapping into my phone, but the next few days, my phone was doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And they basically told us that we had a hearing and that we had to have a representative, an attorney. So a jailbird, yeah, absolutely. I never thought of myself like that either. But in a place like Belarus, you understand that a lot of innocent people go to jail, because if they, hi Tylene, if they do not fit this sort of, so to speak, character that seems like the character that would be pro the system that's alive there now, they basically just get sent to jail. It's really amazing. And then, so what happened is we had to hire attorneys, and then our families, we informed our families here, and our families here got in touch with people over here. That's why the FBI and CIA ended up getting involved. And basically what they were saying is that because of the situation there, and because of who we are, and even me having a YouTube channel, even though I don't have a political channel, they said that they will look at that, even spirituality, as us bringing in our dangerous ideas. And so basically we would be targeted and basically be charged as political prisoners. So we had hearings, and they were trying to find every angle to sort of basically move us into a criminal case. And it was very, very strange, because it felt very much like it wasn't based on any facts. It was just based on them trying to look at our character and who we were, and trying to find a way to say that, we basically don't like you, and we don't like what you're about, and we want to use you as an example to show that the West is bad and dangerous. And so it was very, very strange. I've never had to hire an attorney before, and never had to be in a situation where we were being considered for a criminal case, even though there was no, factually, it made no sense. And this is something that, did you feel Seven was with you? Yes, absolutely. Now, there were times where I definitely felt my ego was very strong, and it wanted to, oh, Sheila, thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate it. Yeah, it was, they think they'll manifest their, if that's true, what they think they'll manifest. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's why it's so important, the focus, because I definitely notice, while I was there, especially in the beginning, we went there very open-minded, very willing to learn and curious about the culture, and to be thrust into this situation, especially when you don't have human rights, like in a lot of other countries. Even if somebody suspects you that your vitamins might be something else, there is a due process that was not, it was very different there, right? Like right away they took our phones. There was no, right away they searched our computers. It's like, why? There's no there's no particular reason. You might be suspecting something, but it was very strange. In the psychological games, and this is something that I learned, they play with other people there. It really made it difficult at times to stay grounded spiritually and emotionally. So I definitely felt, and this is interesting. I definitely felt like I was buried underground and I was in deep darkness. And this is something that, the messages that coming through, where they said seeds are buried in the dark. And the guides and seven were like, seeds are buried in the dark, and that's where they are nurtured, and that's where they grow, and that's where they actually sprout. And so, guilty until proven innocent, that's absolutely what it was like in Belarus. You're guilty until proven innocent, except that there, and you can actually factually research and find this, is that I think like 99.7 of the people actually that are found guilty never get proven innocent. So that means that most people, once they decide that you're guilty for whatever reason, even if it makes no sense, people end up going to jail. It's a very, that's the matrix of control and manipulation, and you really get to see it play out there in just very obvious ways. So even though this was, difficult to consider all these different options of, wow, there's an option that we could end up in like, and they're going to jail in Belarus is not the same as going to jail in the Western world. Again, the quality of things is very, very different. There's no quality, and you're not treated like a human. There's no such thing. And it was really interesting because it was easy for the ego to consider all these different options and then to sort of get caught up in the worst case scenario. And I feel like I never practiced my spiritual muscle in a while as I did there. And it was really, really incredible because I feel that my faith grew so much stronger. And sometimes this is what certain situations really do. They really test your faith. What is the win for them to jail so many people? That's an excellent question. I asked the same thing, like, what is the win for them? That's the thing with when you are in a system of manipulation, control, and violence. What it is they are threatened. They are threatened by people who they really know have power. And that's why they're literally throwing so many of their citizens, because they hope that in intimidating people like that and showing what will happen if you stand up for what you believe in and you have certain values, then it will show other people that if that's what happens, then other people will get scared and not do that. They'll say, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to end up in jail. I don't want to I don't want to end up being beaten or raped, which has happened there, for protesting or for carrying certain values. Yes, absolutely. Sheila says, it's hard for me to wrap my mind around how another human can treat other humans like this. It's so sad. It absolutely is. And, this has been happening all through human history. And, breaking the spirit. Absolutely. This was really, really interesting because, here in the West, we're going through heavy quarantines, right? And it's uncomfortable and it can get depressing, but it definitely is not the same as living somewhere where even just wearing red and white, because that's the color of the old flag and a representation of the forces that want to bring in freedom, just that could throw you in jail, right? And when you really witness that, it really puts a lot of things in perspective, but it also made me aware so much of the incredible spirit of the Belarusian people. And there were so many stories that I heard where I thought, wow, that's real courage. And one of them was of this artist there. She is an award-winning musician, and she was captured by the police, and they drove her to the border of Ukraine and they said, get out, like leave. And she ripped off her passport and said, I'm not leaving. And she's been in jail since like September, October, right? And I thought that was real courage, because her two other friends who were with her, they left. They literally drove through the border and left as fast as they could. And I thought, wow, that's real courage. She, believed that she didn't do anything wrong, which she hadn't, and she wasn't just going to leave the country. And so that's real courage. And when you really see that unfolding in IRL at this point in time, it's incredibly inspiring. All right, let's see. Hello there, love and don't know it. What is the exports in this region? What is their exports in this region? Loved and don't know it. So yeah, it's very interesting, because this is not an isolated case, what's happening in Belarus right now. Everywhere around planet Earth, a lot of people are experiencing firsthand control and censorship. It's very, very interesting, right? But at the same time, one thing I learned in Belarus is that their dictator, their leader who's not even recognized now in most of the world, before, his opposition used to simply disappear, okay? But now, because of the internet, they can't just disappear. So this has made a huge difference. And this is what's really interesting, about what's happening now in the world, is that because of the internet and because people are connecting, okay, people are connecting so much quicker, all right, information is traveling so much faster, is that they can't just silence people in the way that they used to. I mean, they're still doing it, but it's not as, they're still working so hard, but there's so many more ways in which people are communicating. And one of the things that is happening there is that people are using Instagram and Telegram. I know a lot of people complain about social media and stuff, so there are some benefits to it. It's allowing people in certain countries who cannot gather in IRL because it's become so dangerous to communicate and share information through the internet. And this was never really possible even 30 years ago, even 20 years ago, this wasn't really possible. Yes, I recognize I was getting reliant on info from yourself and others on the internet as I'm a bit. Am I ticklish? That's great. It's so aware. I am. I'm not going to say aware. You know, absolutely. I think this is going within is really, really interesting. It's really, really important because that's where the real strength lies. And often that's what difficult situations allow us to do. They really allow us to begin to go within and to really sift through all the stuff that doesn't really matter and get to the core of what matters. And also it allows us to really find a real tribe, the people who actually are there for you no matter what. And I think that's really, really key. And these are two, again, really important things that I experienced myself during this time, was that faith growing even stronger, and the connection with the community growing even stronger, and also maintaining a sense of joy, because see, the system of fear works in such a way is that with intimidation, right? And even if, let's say, you might not get physically, might not experience like physical violence, psychologically it works in a way, and this is what's happening, let's say there, and actually a lot of places around the world, is that if, let's say, we show you that if this is the consequence of what happens, and when you talk to people in Belarus, they really talk about this, the psychological repercussions and spiritual repercussions of what is happening to them, is that it's breeding a lot of fear in people, all right? And a lot of this fear And I know a lot of people were feeling, even in the West, a lot of this fear from, coronavirus and staying inside and this virus and and other things that come with it, right? And so what it does, this starts really preying on your inner well-being. And so one of the key things that and David is really, really good about this, that would remind me of, and that this would allow me to connect with seven even better, was to maintain a sense of well-being no matter what. Okay, because the matrix, okay, of fear is set up so that even if there is no actual impending fear, or even if there is impending fear, that fear in and of itself is corroding your inner world. And not only is it becomes like a spiritual and psychological illness, but it starts to reflect on your body. Okay, and this is how the system continues to live, because it counts on people being frightened so much that they become paralyzed. That when you're in that place, right, you freeze, okay, or you flight, you want to run away, all right. And so it's really, really important to always maintain to find those moments of simple joy, to find those moments of laughter, of smiling. And I'm going to go back to the smiling, because this had to do with when we actually left and escaped. So Carol asked, before you experienced, you were going to do a video on the vax. You said not to fear absolutely. Can we transmute a gene-changing chemical? Okay. Now more than ever, I do believe, do not fear the vaccine. All right. The vaccine has no power over you. It cannot change you. All right. I know a lot of people are afraid that, like, oh, this is it. A vaccine does not have that kind of power over you. All right. It does not have, no matter what any, person wants to create to try to change the internal workings of a human being. It is not possible. We have the power. That's the key. And they say with great power comes great responsibility, and that's really, really important to remember, because guess what? You or anyone being in a state of fear and anxiety about the vaccine, what's happening? You're already changing your inner workings, your biology, your DNA, just by activating that fear. All right. So let that go. A vaccine does not have that kind of power over us. And whether you take it or not, that's a choice you make. But either choice, do not, if you come to it from a place of fear, there's a higher chance you actually manifest, all right? You manifest some kind of illness or dis-ease in your body just from the fear of the vaccine rather than the vaccine itself, all right? So it's really, really, really important to remember this. And now more than ever, this became very clear to me as I was sitting sort of in this place as this seed buried, in the darkness of the earth. And I was just sort of allowing to let go any of the stuff that didn't matter, any of the ideas that just seemed so redundant and not necessary and just a fabrication of the ego. And this definitely became clear, is that a lot of the things that we fear, it's not the thing itself, as the fear that gets to us. And if we can master that just moment to moment, that's where the biggest shift happens. Okay. And sometimes, and that's why, if you want to get genetically modified, get the vax. Again, to be honest, I think this is also another fabrication of the ego. You don't have to get it, right? I didn't get it. I choose not to get it, but not because of the fear of it. It's just because I don't need it. All right. And it's important to remember this, because there's a lot of ideas, even in the so-called spiritual community, that keep people trapped and in a state of fear. All right. Because in a lot of ways, a lot of systems know that fear works. Okay, so beware of that. Okay, beware of anybody who just is sharing something, but it's really instilling more fear in you. We have the power. Okay, and whenever people live from a place of that inner empowerment, they manifest incredible things. Okay, and it's not about perfection. Okay, it's always in the works, right? Our growth and development is always in the works, and it's meant to be like this. Okay, I work in mental health, thought we could be forced, but we are not. That's right. um, we are not. We are not forced. And um, and I think we have a lot more power in that. And I think unless, if we do get caught up in the fear of, oh, this person has more power than I do, we will manifest that more, meaning we will manifest more systems where we feel more powerless. Um, Again, I'm not just saying this as just because it sounds good, but it just, that's how it works. And it is not something easy to always practice, but we've got to. We've got to. That is what becoming conscious from of our spiritual nature is about. So we can see a broader picture, a bigger picture, not just a picture of the ego that's just, coming from a place of fear that wants to keep us trapped and safe. All right. Source perspective. Hi, Jenny. Yes, absolutely. Source perspective. Okay. So one thing I want to show you guys. So when I left, I couldn't really bring much. So I brought a few things like this necklace, and I brought this bowl, which Jenny, who's right now in the comments, Jenny Hong, before I left, I actually saw Jenny and she gifted me this bowl. And before I left, I said, I'm bringing this bowl. They say it's the little things that really make a difference. And this bowl, to me, has just so much power and value. And so I'm really, really fortunate that I was able to bring it with me. Which note is that? Good question. Maybe Jenny would know better. So I'm really, really grateful to all of you. Coming together is what makes a difference. And one thing I also want to add is that sometimes if we really want to make a powerful shift within us, Charlie's source note, if we really want to make a powerful shift within us, we've got to take chances. And sometimes when we take chances, it feels like we're making a mistake. But that's when secrets from the universe are revealed to us, because we're willing to risk something. And remember this, okay? If you're wanting to make a change in your life, take a risk, all right? Attempt something new and different. Even if that's not the thing that actually leads you to your vision, go ahead, because you are supported. Okay? This was not, there were times when, everybody around us, whether it was people here from FBI, CIA, or if it was people in the embassy there, or the attorneys, everybody was basically saying, we're really sorry, but this is where it's headed. And you just sort of got to embrace it. But I knew, and I remember saying, no way. I said, no way. This is not part of my timeline. And that's when we decided that we were going to take a chance and escape. And it worked, because oftentimes You know more than anyone else. You know better than anyone else, all right, what your path is. And even if it seems that you're veering off, or if it seems that you made a mistake, the thing is, it's actually what it is that when we're on a path, the true transformation, one of the places we go through is the valley of the shadows, all right? And we got to walk through it. And you and nobody else got to walk through it, all right? Nobody can do it for you. You can't say, I'm going to sit here. Can you just go take that walk for me? No, you got to do it. But when you do it and you walk through it and you maintain that connection and you get to the other side, that's when you're really transforming, okay? And that's huge. And my soul knows exactly what it's doing, exactly, and trust that. Because sometimes everybody and everything around you is saying, sorry, I'm sorry, it's not gonna be okay. And then you just know, you're saying, I know. I don't know from my head, but I know from deep, deep inside of me. And so remember that. It's gonna be okay. Absolutely, absolutely. We are, yes. Squeeze it easy says, I live by intuition alone. The journey has been wondrous. Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what it's about. And when we do that, things are revealed to us. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful gems, you know? And we sort of, it's like the elixir, right? We sort of gain the elixir. And with that, we can bring about deep healing within ourselves and around the people around us. You said once fear is the biggest virus. Absolutely, it absolutely is. And I'd get into so much trouble in day school for daydreaming. Yes, because school is set up to make us to sort of turn us into more, rule followers. And if we want to really see the truth, we got to break some rules. All right, we got to take chances, because otherwise we become like these we sort of create these environments within us where fear can grow and multiply. And the key is to always live in a place where we are challenging ourselves to maintain a sense of clarity and boldness and fearlessness. And sometimes, because we live in a physical environment, you can do it through daily meditations, but sometimes you do it through life experience of literally being in a life situation where you're really putting into practice everything that you ever learned, and even things that you didn't even think you knew. And again, I'm just incredibly inspired. And I realized that's what this was about, by the people of Belarus reaching for freedom. It's really, really incredible to read their stories and to firsthand experience how their system, how incredibly toxic and dangerous their system is, and then to see people just stand up and claim their power. It's really incredible. It's really hard to follow falsehoods. In fact, it's boring. I like to use discernment to find truths and abide in them. Absolutely. All my life decisions have been from the gut, and it's always been right. Absolutely, yeah. And practicing that, and setting that right environment for the gut. It takes guts. Listening to your gut takes guts, right? Um, and that's what having the community is about. I think that's a really, really, really key, because that's where, when we have the right community, that's where we find the strength. And sometimes we need that to make the real transformation, to make that energetic transformation. I witnessed this myself, where I noticed that it was very easy to veer towards fear, but then Can you see the people of Belarus overcome the tyranny? Absolutely. They're at a very interesting place because they have been sort of pushed underground. But like I said, like that seed that gets pushed underground, that gets buried in, that's where the real strength is built. That's where the real power is gained. And I think the people there, especially the young generation, I think that's where they are um, finding new ways to where they're slowly going to bring down their system. I think it's going to take a little bit of time, but again, that's why the power is in the hands of people. It's almost sounds idealistic to say this, but the truth is that it is. All right, it's really really key. And I witnessed this myself when I was young in Albania. We had communism. You know, it was the people who brought it down. And I'll never forget my dad's side, the family. There were quite a few family members that went to jail because they participated in the demonstrations and the protests, and they went to jail for months. And then within months, the system fell. But that was incredibly inspiring because it really is up to the people, because nothing works without the people. These systems, all right, these forces, these tyrants, and these, okay, these people, they feed on the people. And if the people say no more, you're not feeding on my energy, I'm standing up, I want freedom, I want to get to the next level and the next level and the next level, the system has to fall down. All right, so this is really really key. And I think that's what the people of Belarus are learning now. They sort of got face to face with, you know, their this giant. And I think they're you know, I guess I'll use the story of, like, you know, David from the Bible, because I think that's a good representation of what a lot of people right now are up facing. You know what I mean? These violent giants, but they have this incredible power, and it's about tapping into that. And do you think the Indigo Children will change the way the world thinks of fear? Absolutely, it's already happening. I mean, it's already happening. You know, I remember when I was young and I was in Albania, and most of the you know, where I was growing up, and a lot of those countries were in communism and living in a lot of fear. Okay, and it was a very um, stifled world. Okay, and I've seen it shift, and we're about to go through another shift. But the slingshots, absolutely, and that's what's so key to build that. And I think part of what the Indigos are doing and the chosen ones are doing is they're bringing in this contrasting force, but that's so, it's gentle, it's colorful, it's 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 sensitive, but very energetically intelligent. All right. And I think this is so so key. All right. This is so so key right now, because a lot of system that exist on using violence and control, when they become faced with these beings that are incredibly intuitive and intelligent and aware of what's going on, but they have different tools, that can be so intimidating. All right, you might have noticed that with, you know, if you're dealing with bullies, and when someone is faced with a bully but they have a certain level of intelligence and sensitivity to become a mirror to what the bully is doing, the bully is like, oh, what are you doing, why are you exposing me? All right. And this is really key. Yes, this is incredibly to see how all over the world we're fighting for our rights. To hear what about the people more gave me a lot of power, understanding that my situation is not the worst. Absolutely. Oh, feminine. I think, Ralph, I think you meant to say feminine. You know, this is really interesting, and I'm gonna wrap this up soon. But speaking about the feminine and masculine, you know what's really interesting in Belarus is that a lot of the men that were running for the presidency, they were arrested, or they were arrested and thrown in jail. So actually, the leader there now, the opposition leader, she is a woman. She was a house mom. She had two children, and her husband was actually a vlogger and YouTuber who'd walk go around Belarus and speak to real people about what was happening and what their lives were like. And he was going to run for president, and he was arrested on false claims. And so were a few other people who were running for this. And so what happened is all these men were in jail, and it was the women took over, right? The leadership. And so a lot of the leadership now that is moving towards freedom, it's a lot of women. And this is very interesting about the feminine energy that we're witnessing all around the planet, is that a lot of women now are sort of being called to stand up as leaders. And again, with more power comes more responsibility. So a lot of women are like, wow, we have so much power. How do we direct this power in a way that is empowering and allows us and children and men and everyone to grow in a better world? So this is really interesting. Please explain the Indigo Children. Okay, well, the Indigo Children is one thing to say is that the number of Indigo Children has definitely gone up, basically in the last, I'd say, 100 years, and they're usually waves of this. And what they do is that they actually function as disruptors of the system. So right now, especially for the last 30 to 40 years, there's a lot more Indigo Children all over planet Earth that are disrupting the old systems. And that's why it's been so interesting to build more and more communities that are more conscious and more aware, so that the ones that are born with these sensitivities have a place to grow, develop, and direct these sensitivities in a way that serves planet Earth. And love and compassion, absolutely, absolutely. It always comes down to the very simple things and practicing them. That's the key. Um, and with that, if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them in. As I mentioned, I'm really want to create a series of videos about what is happening in Belarus, because I think it's an interesting reflection of what is happening all over planet Earth, with a lot of systems, old systems breaking down and new systems coming up, but then seeing how the contrasting forces fight more and more and more. But then in that, more and more people wake up and see the truth. Well, Carol, I gotta say, you're already in a community. I know sometimes, and I experience this because I travel and live in different places. Sometimes it's not easy to find a community in IRL, but oh, I love you too, Peter. Thank you, thank you. It's good to be back. It's good to be back, and it's good to be back with, I feel like, so much that I want to continue sharing with you. And I'm so grateful for all of you. Yes. Oh, it's so good to see you all connecting with each other. Yes, that support is so key. It is so key. It is so key. And it's real. Honestly, even though so many of you I've never met in IRL, I feel this connection to be very real. Because something that I know as part of this community we are willing to do, that sometimes people keep themselves from doing, is we are willing to be open and vulnerable and real with each other. Hi, Gold Rainbow. and we are allowing ourselves to open up, and to really be genuine in that. And that's what it's about. It's nothing fancy, just that connection and that openness and that willingness to really see the value in ourselves and in others. It builds so much strength within us. Hi, Sarah. Thank you. Oh, we love you too, Carol. I love you guys, really. It's so good to be here with you. So grateful, so grateful. And honestly, I feel like part of why I went to Belarus and I was called there is because there is this community, and the energy that we build is so powerful, and directing this energy towards those that need it in the process of gaining more freedom in their lives, of gaining more peace, and gaining more health and prosperity and well-being. um, that is so, I believe that is happening. Us coming together and putting our focus and our attention on those who need that is absolutely making an energetic shift. So thank you, everyone. I will be back next week with more content and more lives. So stay tuned. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them as comments or send them to me in an email. Hi, Lisa. Hi, Lewis. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, it's so good to have you guys. I love this. So many blessings to everyone. I love you. I see you. I hear you. I feel you. I love you. And I love to connect with you. And I look forward to more and more of these moments where we connect with each other in real time. Um, all right. Big, big, big virtual hug, everyone. Oh, and before, remember to join the Facebook group. I'm gonna start becoming a little bit more active on there. So get on there. The link is below, and so much love to you all.